She's laughing at something you said. Not a big joke. Not even that funny, honestly, but she's laughing anyway. Her phone buzzes on the table. She glances at it, then looks back at you before even reading the message. Small thing. You almost missed it. Later that night, you're replaying the conversation in your head. Did she mean anything by that? Or am I imagining things? Here's the problem. Most women don't announce attraction. They don't say, "I like you" in a text with 3 exclamation points. They don't make it obvious because obvious feels risky, vulnerable, exposed. So instead, attraction leaks out sideways. In small behaviors, most people don't know how to read. Today, we're breaking down 7 of them. Not TikTok myths, not pickup artist nonsense. Actual patterns behavioral psychologists have observed for decades. And by the end, you'll never look at a conversation the same way again. But before we start, subscribe. YouTube rarely shows the same video twice, and if this helps you read people a little better, we might not cross paths again. Let's start with the first sign, the one almost everyone misses. Sign 1. She remembers the small stuff. Not your birthday. Not your job title. The small stuff. That one coffee order you mentioned once, 3 weeks ago. The name of your dog, that you don't like calling people, only texting. Psychologist Arthur Aaron studied this exact phenomenon, how attention and memory shift when someone is emotionally invested in another person. His research on closeness found something fascinating. The brain starts prioritizing details about people we're drawn to, automatically, without effort. That's where everything changes, because memory isn't really about intelligence, it's about relevance. Her brain is quietly deciding you matter. Sign 2, the delayed reply that isn't disinterest. Here's where most people make the biggest mistake. You send a message, 20 minutes pass, then an hour. You start spiraling. She's not interested. I said something wrong. But here's what almost nobody realizes. Sometimes silence isn't rejection. Sometimes it's the opposite. She's crafting the response, rereading it, deleting a sentence, typing it again. Esther Perel talks about this constantly in her work on desire. Mystery and unpredictability aren't the enemy of connection. They're often fuel for it. A too fast reply can feel eager. A slower one can feel considered. That wasn't rejection. It was psychology. Now, this isn't universal. Sometimes delay really is disinterest. Context matters. But paired with the other signs on this list, it tells a very different story. Sign 3. She mirrors you. This one is almost invisible unless you know to look for it. You lean forward. She leans forward too. You laugh. She laughs a beat later, in the same rhythm. You cross your arms. A few seconds later, hers cross too. This is called mirroring, and it's one of the most well-documented signals in nonverbal communication research. It happens below conscious awareness. People don't decide to mirror someone. Their nervous system does it for them when it feels safety and connection. Think about that. Her body is speaking a language her mouth hasn't caught up to yet. Sign 4. She brings up the future. You'd love this place. We should go sometime. When you meet my friends, you'll understand. Small phrases, barely noticed in the moment, but they're doing something significant. She's mentally placing you inside her future, even if just a little. John Gottman's decades of relationship research found that couples who thrive share something called turning toward. Small bids for connection, made constantly, often unconsciously. Talking about a shared future, even hypothetically, is one of the clearest bids there is. And it changes everything, because most people are terrified to do this. Bringing up the future feels like exposure, like admitting you're picturing something. She's not supposed to say it outright, so she says it sideways. Sign 5. She teases you, specifically you playful jabs. Sarcasm. The kind of teasing that would seem rude coming from a stranger, but somehow feels like flirting coming from her. Here's what makes this bigger than just one relationship. Teasing requires emotional safety. You don't tease someone you're indifferent to. There's no payoff, no connection to protect. But you tease someone you feel comfortable being playful with. It's a test, subtle and low stakes. Can we push against each other and still be okay? Helen Fisher, the biological anthropologist who spent her career studying the brain in love, found that playful banter activates some of the same reward circuitry as physical attraction itself. Playfulness isn't a distraction from chemistry. It is chemistry. Sign 6. She gets quietly jealous. then covers it. You mention another woman's name, casually, nothing dramatic, and for half a second, barely noticeable, something shifts in her face. Then she smiles, changes the subject, asks an unrelated question a beat too quickly. This is where attraction becomes counterintuitive. Most people assume jealousy is dramatic, loud, obvious. It rarely is. In someone who likes you but hasn't said it, jealousy shows up as a flicker, immediately suppressed. Because admitting jealousy means admitting investment, and admitting investment means risking rejection, and most people never notice. Sign 7. She's nervous in ways she can't explain, fidgeting with her hair, talking slightly faster than usual, laughing a little too easily. Here's what's fascinating. This isn't discomfort, it's activation. Daniel Kahneman's research on arousal and decision-making showed that our bodies often can't distinguish between different types of nervous energy. Excitement and anxiety look almost identical physiologically. Elevated heart rate, restlessness, a kind of buzzing alertness. So when she seems a little thrown off around you, a little less composed than usual, that's not a red flag. That's her nervous system reacting to you specifically, and she probably can't fully explain it, even to herself. Here's what makes this bigger than just one relationship. Because underneath all 7 signs is the same truth. We live in a culture obsessed with clarity. We want the text that says it plainly, the label, the definition. Dating apps trained us to expect explicit confirmation, a match, a bio, a swipe. So when real-life attraction shows up messy, quiet, and indirect, we assume it isn't real. But Sue Johnson, the psychologist behind emotionally focused therapy, spent her career showing that most emotional communication, especially early on, happens through protest and bids, not direct statements. We ask for connection sideways because asking directly feels too exposed, too risky. Brené Brown calls this the vulnerability paradox. The thing we want most, to be truly seen, is also the thing we're most afraid of. So people build in plausible deniability. If she never says she likes you, she can never be rejected for saying it. That's not manipulation. That's self-protection. And it happens every day. So here's the bigger picture. Remember that laugh at the not that funny joke? The phone she glanced at, then looked back up before reading. That wasn't nothing. It was 7 small signals, compressed into one moment. Memory, mirroring, nervous energy, a future she hadn't said out loud yet. Attraction rarely announces itself. It leaks out in the pauses, the timing, the half-second reactions people don't know they're having. Learning to read that isn't about tricks or games. It's about paying attention to her and to what people actually do instead of what they say. If this helped you understand relationships a little better, subscribe and join us. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, and until next time, keep learning what really drives human connection.